What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord Dr. Professor Dark Joker here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are traditional fans with opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. My Hero Academia Season 8, Episode 5. So, this episode starts, all like the really heavy focus on Deku's final fight with Shigaraki. Like obviously it was going on during some of the other fights that were being shown, after Deku and Shigaraki landed on the ground. But like now you know basically with a lot of the fights basically being done, it's focusing on this. So you see Deku fight, he's injured, you know, search trying to figure out how to defeat him. And then one of the things that happens is Shigaraki, while trying to take One for All, absorbs the quirk of Hikage Shinomori, who is the you know fourth user of One for All. So basically, and then when that happens, it reveals there's like a crack in Shigaraki's psyche that allows all the vestiges of all the users to see it. Basically, so like the Tenko Shimura persona, like Shigaraki thought he had subdued it, but it's still a thing. Of course, you also have One for All, you have All for Ones, persona, in play. And like so seeing Saiki and how, you know, Shinomori's like him being captured affected it. Now that causes Shigaraki to have danger sense, so he could sense a lot of Deku's attacks. So but how it affected Psyche, that gives and then with like, Star and Stripe being seen, how affected. So Toshitsugu Kudo, the second user of One for All, he realizes that maybe if like if they I guess gradually send like the quirks within One for All to like inside Shiragi, they can break his psyche and allow him to basically be beaten. That's how powerful he is. It's gonna be hard to straight up fight. And so Hudo believes that he should go first because with his gear shift quirk, um basically the recoil. So basically, if Deku uses gear shift one more time, he basically won't be able to move and he's dead. But if Shigaraki has it, he'll get the recoil if he uses it. So that'll help with the recoil, could give them a chance to like defeat him. So he says he's gonna go first. So yeah, so then of course while it's going, you have everyone watching the fight. So you have, there's like a flashback to where Best Genius talking to some of to Mirko, Deku, Dynamite, um, you know, the big three, and somehow basically they're concerned about Shigaraki touching the earth because they believe his grudge, his destructive urges could be directed towards the earth itself. Basically, he could maybe try to like use his decay quirk on the entire world, and that's why they didn't want him touching the ground. So basically, they want whenever the battle's done, if they win, they want they want a foundation to build off of. So yeah, I thought this was a really good episode. They're saying this is the start of the end game. Like basically there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on. Like this fight, like we don't get a lot of like multi-episode fights anymore. We don't get a lot in anime. Obviously it used to be a lot more common back when you had like your like Dragon Ball very famously has a lot of long fights with the I think it's like the Goku Frieza fight on Namek is like it's like it's a lot of episodes. Like it was like 30 episodes in the original Dragon Ball Z. Of course, in Kai it was 17, but still a long freaking fight. And of course, One Piece, you have, Luffy versus Kaido was a long one. Now, in that one, you had a bunch of other fights going on at the same time, so that kind of helped a lot of things. And then, basically, like, obvi- so, like, this is one of the rare, like, multi-episode fights. Like, basically, you can see, I mean, One Piece still does it, and I think once we get to, like, that show's seasonal model next year, you ain't gonna see as many. You'll see a few, but Deku versus Shigaraki, both the one from season 6, and this one is one of the rare like those are some of the rare like multi-episode fights. Like you may see 2 episodes maybe, but you generally don't see more than that. So it's nice. It's interesting to see like this big fight because there's a lot of stuff that goes down this fight. Like a lot of stuff. Like there's it, so I'm really like this episode. Interesting how they finish it out. Obviously, it's gonna be a lot more episodes before we see the end of it. But yeah, I really like this episode. Looking forward to the next one. Spy Family, Season 3, Episode 5. So in this one, Yor goes shopping. She asks Anya if she wants anything. Anya says she wants some of those like crunchy tea snacks, like the tea candy, whatever that Henderson gave her. So Yor goes to the store. She doesn't really go to department stores a lot, so like she's a little nervous about going there. So it's freaking funny. So when some random like I guess cashier offers her some like basically makeup whatever, she thinks she's being so weapon. She's like, oh no thanks, I'm here for candy, not weapons. That bit was so funny. Then some lady in high heels trips, almost drops all her boxes and some of the stuff she's bought. Your catches her from here from falling. She catches all the stuff. So the lady compliments her, um, thanks her, and asks her to come with her to like basically meet with some friends of hers. Basically, so she joins like a volleyball game with all these people. So like all these other women. So and she's never played volleyball. She doesn't know the rules of volleyball. So she gradually learns about her athleticism, which is an understatement. Athleticism is an understatement in regards to yours strength. Basically, it presses everyone. So the lady invites her to whose name is Melinda, invites her to basically to like eat with her and all of her friends. So it's real they're all part of like this group I guess of high class women. Basically no, Melinda introduced herself as Melinda Desmond. So Donovan Desmond's wife, Damien's mother. Yours shocked and when Melinda hears yours last name, she hears like she learns that yours a daughter and same class as Damien. She realizes, oh, you're Anya's mother, and yours like, oh, sorry for what happened, and Lynn's like, oh, it's all right. You're still there, and Lynn's like, it's all right, like just it's so funny. So then Melinda like wants Yor to keep hearing basically like how Yor didn't recognize who she was because Yor didn't even know that she doesn't even know who I don't think she doesn't even know who the Desmond family is. She didn't know that Damien's father was the former prime minister, and that when Melinda was called first lady, that it meant she was the former prime minister's wife. Yeah. So so it's so funny, and so like she doesn't realize that, and she even though she was like, and she tells Lloyd about it. She's like, yeah, it just happened. So Twilight's thinking, okay, so this is a plan C. So this is plan C for so with Anya's grades, that's plan A. You get a bunch of Stellas. Of course, it's Plan A with Anya and Damien's friendship scheme. That's Plan B. So Yor and Melinda's friendship is Plan C. So Anya, who can read, of course, can read everyone's mind. She's like, she wants to, in her mind's like, needs to compete with Yor to see who can become friends with their respective Desmond first. So the whole thing is funny. Like the whole bit is freaking funny. So then, and then York says to the shopkeeper, tells shopkeeper how she met Melinda, asked for, she asked for Lloyd's permission if she wants to keep hanging out with the Melinda friend. Lloyd says that's fine. That should be good for her. Like basically, there's some stuff maybe she could only tell her friends, and basically good chance for her to release some stress if she from all stuff in their lives. Which honestly, that part is actually good advice. Of course, Lloyd's also motivation is to see if gossip, if like York can potentially get some gossip about like anything regarding the Desmonds. So he is thinking from a mission standpoint, and and probably the fact of him be saying that it could release stress for York. He probably generally does mean that 'cause he does care for Anya and Yor, and like even though he doesn't admit it to himself. So then after that, then the shopkeeper, and shopkeeper tells Yor to be careful when hanging out with Lloyd so that her husband doesn't think that, so that basically Lloyd doesn't think that Yor has any political biases, and Lloyd was concerned about that. He was like, wait, with what he knows about Yor, he's like, yeah, it was probably just coincidence. But he was concerned, but Lloyd was concerned about the Desmond, like Donovan Desmond, initiating contact for whatever reason, whether it's like due to Anya hitting Damien, or when Lloyd met Donovan Desmond, or if they or if like has to do with basically they happen to know that Lloyd's Twilight, which given some recent manga chapters would not be out of the realm of possibility. Let's just say that. So basically, yeah. So this is gonna set up a lot because Belinda is gradually does become more important, and so yeah. So basically, in the Yor mentions that Lloyd said he met Donovan, said he was only slightly interested in the Donovan's political party, slightly benefit, even though I think he has said he disagrees with their views, which he probably does in real life. And the shopkeeper's like, really? And that's like, I mean, that's meant to be a tease for maybe the shopkeeper investigating Lloyd, which who know? I mean, when who knows exactly what the shopkeeper's motives are, like what exactly the motives are, whether it's like basically like whose side, like is he like, because there's a lot of mysteries with the shopkeeper regarding like what his motives are, one how powerful how strong he is, like compared to like your, and like like how well, like how what is his opinions about Wise, and like it like basically like, and about the Desmonds, like about Desmond, like Donovan Desmond's party, like to be, because I mean I think the Garden does not want war. If I believe they do not. I mean, the Garden, if I recall, it's mostly spoke about in rumors by people outside. Like I think it's like even Twilight doesn't believe in it. So like that's gonna be interesting. Whenever the manga gets a inevitable confrontation about between Lloyd and Yor. Anyway, I like this episode. And I really look forward to the next one because it looks like they're starting the bus hijacking arc. Kingdom Season 6, Episode 5. So in this one, Shin and the Mountain people are attacking, Lu Wei to help set up, the eventual attack against Ye. And so basically, Mountain Queen wants to take it in, you know, within a day, basically like half a day. So the Mountain people start doing their attack, rather than they need some archers. So the two new archers from the Phasian force. So those two brothers like Dan and I can't remember the other one's name. So basically, so you see one of them, the younger brother, like just start shooting arrows, like just perfect on target, hitting everyone, just massacring all those Zao forces, and everyone's staying there like the frick, the frick is this guy doing? Of course, the other brother is like doesn't want to kill people, and Dan's like, dude, just shoot, don't stop, just keep going. And basically, then they're able to break through. Mount People open the gate, so Shin gets. He uses now. He has difficulties using the pole axe. Like it's still too like the weight of it, still hard to swing, so he does get injured some. But they're still able to win. The Mountain People and Shin's army uh take Blue Way, and that's what set the stage for the next part of the military campaign. So yeah, I like this episode. Liked how they showed all the combat, the battle stuff. Obviously, Shin still has a ways to go before he can use the poleaxe. I mean, he's not, I guess, fully ready. I mean, you know why he uses it because they're going against Limu, who is basically responsible for the death of Wayne Yi. So Shin wants to use the poleaxe to defeat Limu's army, which is understandable. So obviously, it looks like I've not read the manga, so I don't know exactly how things go down. But I'm guessing that the poleaxe is going to be pretty important. Like Shin's like gradual development and how they use it. It's going to be important as things go by. So yeah, I like this episode. Looking forward to the next one. We Are Eternity, Season 3, Episode 5. So in this one, um, this so basically this deals with the aftermath of last week when with Mizuha's mother Izumi seemingly being alive, but her soul is not inside. So this her spirit talks with Bon, who relays Izumi's words to Fushi. So basically, what they try to do is so Fushi creates a new body for Izumi, but Izumi's soul doesn't go inside. So Bond says that Izumi's soul thinks that whatever's possessing her corpse, it could be a knocker, and Fushi and the Black One thought that all the knockers were gone, so now it's possibly that knockers are around, but they found a way to evade detection. They evolved somehow, as explained at other scenes where there's looks like there's some people possessed by knockers who do like the regenerative abilities. Then you see the stuff with Misa. So Fushi, Tonari, you know, start school and they gradually try to adjust to society. Messar like gambles and wins a lot of money and stuff. So basically, obviously, they're not. Everyone's still adapting to the modern world. We haven't seen necessarily how Gugu has been able to adjust. Apparently, no one's asked him about his helmet, and Yuki's grandfather recommends that maybe get some surgery to reconstruct his face. Yeah, who knows that's gonna be, but and then like yeah, so obviously there's a lot of stuff going down. It's like yeah, so there's a whole bit where so all the girls when they see Fushi, they all fall for him. So Fushi basically so and Mizuha gets Fushi along with her and asks Fushi if he likes anyone in that way. Fushi says he doesn't want to get any romantic relationships, and like regardless of who. And it's very obvious that Mizuha is into Fushi. Now Tanari is suspicious of Mizuha, basically due to her being Hayase's descendant. So understandably, very understandable why why Tanari is suspicious. And basically, Fushi's the only one I guess who doesn't notice that Mizuha's into him. So yeah, so basically, yeah, now we have to deal with potential return to knockers, how that's going to affect things. So yeah, I like this episode, like how they're gradually setting up the big conflict. Looking forward to the next episode. Tojima wants to be a common rider, episode 5. So in this one, so you have basically so Tojima, Yoriko, Mitsuba, and Ichio. They defeat all these shocker combatants, and then Ichio like basically asks Mitsuba about Yuka, Yukarisu, basically what his intentions with her are. Like you know if he desires to marry her, because if he doesn't, he says basically it's like he's gonna kill her. So then you have everyone. So then during the fight, you have Yukarisu's basically sort of everything. Then like Spider-Man appears, so the monster that you know Tojima Yuriko had come across earlier. Basically, he appears, and then so then Mitsuba basically he leaves, and then basically puts on a outfit resembling Rider Man from Kamen Rider V3. Basically, it's the second Kamen Rider for V3, who's like basically has like a prosthetic arm in that show. Basically, you see a flashback of how he and Ichio would fight over who would be V3, and basically Ichio won the fights, and then he's told he broke Mitsua's arm, and he said basically says, "Hey, I was born first, so I'll be V3. You could be Rider Man." And it says breaking his arm is I guess supposed to be a sign for him to become V3 because I guess Rider Man like loses his arm and gets a prosthetic, and then they're in fights. So then Spider Man, he's captured, basically he's tied up, and he mind controls Yukarisu, basically forcing her to attack Mitsuba. But then Mitsuba basically tells Yukarisu that he loves her and asks her to marry him, which turns Yukarisu back to normal, and she says yes. And then, but Spider-Man's able to break free of his restraints and transforms to a more monstrous form, and that's how the episode ends. So yeah, looks like this fight in this like basically this random area is gonna be their sample all that. So yeah, looks like the Spider-Man guy is gonna be a major villain. See, I like this episode. Like how there's doing all these fights, gradually building up all these wannabe common riders. It's so they know how ridiculous it is. The show knows how ridiculous it is, and it leans into it, and it's so great while also taking itself seriously. So yeah, I really like this episode. Looking forward to the next one. Born After the Apocalypse, episode 5. So in this one, Yoko and Irie are, continuing their travels. They go through these marshlands near Nagarayama. Basically, there's issues with driving the motorcycles, so when they have to make camp, they'll like basically they have to figure out to pitch a tent. Then they have to basically, then there's a whole deal about with they have to fix the motorcycle, like repair the tire, and yeah, so and they have to go. There's like a really bad storm they have to deal with, and like yeah, so basically yeah, so issue with the storm and that, so they have to stop and get their rain jackets and all that. But yeah, dude, there's like cyclones. So, like the storm is bad. So yeah, I like this episode. You know, basically it's like them struggling with basically nature. So like not necessarily too much apocalypse that they're struggling with, but there's traveling around. And basically there's fine as long as they traveling together, they're fine. But yeah, I thought I liked this episode. Looking forward to the next one. Phineas and Ferb, season 5, episode 16. So in this one, so the segments for this episode, so basically, so Deuce and Nader causes a power outage. So yeah, so then but Doof when he's trying to figure out how to reset the circuit, he sees a guy powering a treadmill by just running. So he decides to use like people running to power his innators. So he opens Doofnasium, as he calls it. Basically, it's a free gymnasium. Basically, people can work out, and their working out can power all his tech, and even makes like a bunch of ads for it. And like, yeah, it's so dumb. It's so. Then Phineas and Ferb like they built like the asphalt wave, which basically it's a boat. Basically turns streets into liquids, and they can sail across the streets. And they got the idea from Candace and Jeremy's date at the lake. Now Candace sees them and chases them with her boat with Jeremy and hoping to basically bust Phineas and Ferb. You know, gets a little chaotic. Now Linda's at Bobby's hair emporium, so she's not able to see anything. Candace calls like Linda, and so now Perry he's trapped by Doof, but Perry uses works out enough to where he overloads the power grid and cuts off all power in the city, which basically causes the asphalt wave to sink. And so Linda doesn't see what Face and Ferb were doing, and then yeah, so basically yeah, so then you have, the farmer and the wife, the ones, the wife's like, I can't believe you bought this without getting this. That running gag. Basically, the asphalt wave lands like in the water, and basically they need a boat for the subterranean lake, and guess now they have it. Next segment, so it's another extreme version of a sport. So you have croquet Y8. Basically, it's giant mallets, portals, pyrotechnics, and stuff. You know, and so while this is going on, Jeremy has to do some zoology video for some college course. Like, and so he asked Candace to help him, and basically just basically documentary on Perry since he's like an exotic animal. Candace tries to keep an eye on what Face Forever are doing while Perry is you know, being filmed. Now Perry has to go on a mission, so he finds a robot decoy to fool Camp Jeremy while he does his mission. But basically, the issue is the robot duplicates are unstable until Perry has to defeat Doof in 3 hours. So basically, so what happened? So what Duke's plan is something regarding dehydrated sheep, rehydrates them to make everyone in Danville fall asleep. So basically, so Duke's in there causes a bunch of sheep to appear, and Perry reverses the effects and causes the air to explode. And so the basically, so the Perry bot malfunctions. So Linda, when Candace calls about hears about the Croquet Y8, she decides to come home when she learns about Jeremy filming Perry for something, just to see for herself. She thought it'd be fun to see it. And so Candace falls asleep from exhaustion. The Perry bot explodes, and the real Perry replaces it without anyone noticing. And then, yeah, so basically, Linda sees Perry Candace asleep on the couch and takes a photo. And then, basically, the croquet game is destroyed by a sheep ball, and Baljeet and Ferb fall asleep after counting sheep. And then, the farmer's wife and husband. So basically, the farmer's wife they appear again at the end. They buy a sheep farm and then get sheep. The sheep ball rolls by. Farmer says that he ordered some sheep that will arrive later in the afternoon. So basically, he actually did buy something for once. So yeah, I did not like these episodes. They were kind of boring. Like, basically, this is probably the worst episode of the season. I was not a fan of it. Like, I mean, it just wasn't good. I mean, look, Phineas Ferb, everyone knows, had its low points in the later two seasons, and a few parts of season two. Like mostly the later part of season two. Gosh, the Beak is such a terrible episode. But this so it's not surprising that season five has had a bad episode. In fact, I'm surprised it's only been really one bad episode. But yeah, this is like the only bad episode. So yeah, I'll watch the next one. Hopefully, it's good. South Park season 28, episode 2. So instead of airing on Wednesday night, like a lot of the South Park episodes have, them going on Paramount Plus Thursday morning, this one aired on Friday because it was a Halloween episode, and went on Paramount Plus Saturday morning. So yeah, that's why I'm reviewing today. So so obviously the Marshes, they've been living in a motel due to having to sell integrity weed, and Randy's not able to return to his job as a geologist due to the government shutdown. So they move out of the motel, but they move into Grandpa Marsh's retirement home. It's basically, it sounds like they can't afford even for a motel room. So I don't know what Sharon does for work, like if she works, and so who knows what Randy's gonna do. Basically, Stan says that life in South Park just sucks now. So Kyle and Kenny decided to form a Reddit group, subreddit to basically post their opinions about why life in South Park sucks. As he says, South Park sucks now. Everyone's talking about. Basically, guessing reference to, I guess, some comments about how South Park's not as good now. Yes. Now, I liked season 27 South Park. It is definitely the worst season. Like, it is definitely the worst season. I liked it because, I mean, South Park does really make fun of everyone. Now, they do need to make fun of the other side more. They should just make fun of everyone, not just one side. Like, basically, yeah. So now, and I'm not going to get into why they might not be making fun of the other side. And so then, while this is going, so then Western Pain's good power. Now then comes phase two, which is a meme coin, some crypto thing. And so Kyle's cousin, Kyle Schwartz, helps arrange how to promote the Meme coin, basically some crypto thing. Basically, he straight up says it's a scam, which you know, a lot of crypto is. I'm not an expert on crypto. I don't trust it. I don't plan to invest in it. Yeah, like I have my concerns with that stuff. But yeah, so I think yeah, anyway, so yeah, so basically but then but then one of the issues that cousin Kyle has to deal with is the pumping and dumping it. And he wants to do a pump and dump scheme to basically it's like sell something that's about the it's not just about the coin, it's about the message. It's like basically get rich quick, and then basically he wants to discuss it with Donald Trump Jr. And while this is going now so basically there's some super so Trump's being haunted by a woman hat basically it's Melania Trump, and Pam Bondi helps investigate. One running gags about Pam Bondi is that there's always poop on her face. Now it's revealed later that basically the poop is Trump's poop, so for some reason Pam Bondi has Trump's poop on her nose. Like it's a reference, I guess, saying she's brown nosing, and then like basically like saying that basically she just like was trying to curry favor with Trump and all that. Anyway, so yes, but they're being haunted, and there's possibly that basically some people say that oh yeah, someone's trying to prevent Trump and Satan's baby from being born. Trump's like, what? No, of course not. Now JD Vance thinks that someone's onto him. Now of course Cartman's still captured by Vance's ally, Peter Thiel, who knows a lot about the Antichrist. So like yeah, so and then oh man. So now, of course, this also makes fun about the old stuff with the ballroom at the White House. So, I guess Trump tells Satan that basically it's supposed to be a nursery for the baby, but it's Satan gets pissed when he learns it's actually basically for a ballroom. You know, basically like yeah, basically hold some parties, and yeah. So there's a whole bit about that. Like Trump he says, like, "Hey, the baby could just go to the bathroom or something." And so now when Kyle Schwartz arrives to discuss things with Trump Jr., he arrives at the White House, but he has to sit through a seance as the people of the White House trying to get rid of the ghost, basically Melania. They're in the seance, and basically, because Kyle gets scared, and he confesses that basically all he's doing is just a scam for people who are rich to get richer, and he ends up being arrested. And basically stands still at retirement, pissed off about his living situation. Basically, he wants to keep it secret. I mean, like because I mean, if Cartman found out, Cartman would totally make fun of him. I mean, like heck, that's a. I mean, like Kenny at least has lives somewhere. Like, I mean, like Kenny at least has like a house or trailer or something to live in. Dan doesn't have anything. Like, base right now, Stan's like poorer than Kenny. Now, Kyle, since his father's a lawyer, he's fine. His family's fine. So yeah, so I really I thought it was a decent episode. I mean, I actually think last episode was better. I mean, it was funnier. But yeah, it looks like they're doing the whole serialized thing, which has you know South Park has done serialization a lot before. It's a lot more. I mean, serialization as a whole in television is a lot more common than it used to be. So of course South Park was gonna do it. So now and it looks like whatever the Trump Satan baby is gonna be like recurring plot point. How whenever the baby's born, hopefully that's by the end of the season. Move on from it. You know, and who knows what's gonna happen with all stuff like Dan fan like will Randy like find a job or something. But yeah, I thought this was a you know decent episode. Um, looking forward to the next episode. Mob War, Philadelphia versus the Mafia. So this is a new newish documentary series on Netflix that I only learned recently what existed. Like Netflix did not market this very well. I mean, really, come on, Netflix, market your stuff better. Anyway, so this documentary focuses on the conflict between different you know gangster factions in the 90s in Philadelphia. So you have John Stanfa, Joey Merlino, and so you have some people who are involved are interviewed, and you have FBI operations trying to take out the mobsters, and it covers like a lot of the events. So when Joey Ciancaglini was murdered, Joey Merlino gained shot, and yeah. So this covers like a lot of like what happened with basically you know the, how those groups were taken down, and then yeah. So basically obviously you know Merlino like and basically you have a lot of people getting killed, people getting arrested, and then obviously all the people getting shot and all that. Like, dude, like definitely interesting. See, I liked this documentary, how it went through the different mobsters, how the FBI got into everything trying to get evidence against the mobsters because that was the hard part. Like people knew like basically with a lot of mafia stuff, people like will know who some of the major figures are, but they just know they don't have evidence to actually do anything about it. That's how a lot of it works. Like you gotta have evidence, even if you know that they yeah. So obviously, and Merlino's crew is called the Young Turks, and so there's like a bunch of conflict that goes down. So yeah, so I thought this was a good documentary. Liked it. You know, hopefully Netflix actually learns to actually market their stuff better because this was actually a good documentary. Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere. So this is a biopic about Bruce Springsteen, aka the boss. And so this covers like the development of his album Nebraska and Born to Run, which were a lot of were recorded around the same time, both albums. So a lot of like the demos that Springsteen made for Nebraska, some of the ones that were unused that were not used for Nebraska album were used in the Born USA album, with Born USA being one of the most notable ones. And so yeah, so this basically mainly takes place in 1981, and basically due to like some of the songs being inspired by like Springsteen's like childhood, all stuff with his father who was like had some issues with alcohol, mental health, and of course this briefly goes the film goes into like how basically the crime spree of Charles Starkweather inspired the song Nebraska. So the only fictional character in this is Faye Romano, and I guess Faye's brother and daughter. Basically, like Faye was based off of various girlfriends that Springsteen had throughout, like his life in Jersey, like during the early part of his career. Basically, like a lot of the stuff from each of them was like merged into one character, and like basically, in this, so basically it in this, and it also mentions how Bruce was offered a role in the movie Light of Day back when it was going by the name of Born USA, which is how he got the name of the song. And so yeah, so this goes into like how like basically the his acoustics, like the record company didn't want to do those because I guess because they didn't find them marketable, I guess. And so this also deals with Bruce's his own mental issues, which is kind of like why like he doesn't really commit to Faye. He does like hang out with her and her daughter. And so yeah, so basically when Bruce like considers suicide, various times throughout the movie after when he's in LA, he calls he calls John Landau, who was like his manager and producer. John tells him to get professional help, so Bruce sees a therapist, which he's basically done since then. He continues to like deal with his depression issues. And of course, you have 10 months later, you have where he reconciles with his father, sits on his lap for the first time, which apparently that's a real thing that happened. So the stuff, the times shown this movie where he considers suicide, and him sitting on his father's lap, that all happened. Now, mainly, I find it weird for a 32-year-old man to sit on his father's lap, given the circumstance, and even Bruce in the movie, and I think in real life, said like at the instance it happened was like I'm 32 years old. like given like the child where basically he never had a loving relationship with his father, so it did feel different. It was like they finally reconciled, so okay, I can excuse that. Given the circumstances, I can kind of excuse that. And of course, this of course you also deal with Nebraska reached number 3 in the charts. Then Born USA made him a superstar. And so yeah, so yeah, I like this. Obviously, this ain't a movie I don't think is gonna make profit. I watched this because I'm a fan of Bruce Springsteen's music. Like I'm a fan of his music. You know, and of course, some people they probably don't watch this because they're not a fan of Springsteen the man. I'm not getting into that. I watch this because I'm a fan of his music, and I like this. I actually like this movie. It focused on him dealing with his stuff, like dealing with his personal issues at the time, and you know, writing music. Like the music was actually relevant. Like you actually saw him writing songs, singing the songs. Now, as far as you know, and Jeremy Allen White does a really good job as Bruce Springsteen. Like he does a really good job as Bruce Springsteen. Jeremy Strong's pretty good as John Landau. Yeah. So basically, yeah. So as far as like White singing, so in the beginning where it shows a concert beginning inside like the where concert hall stadium, it doesn't sound right with White singing. So I mean that concerned me at first. I was like, this guy can't sing worth a crap. But later on in the movie, you see like better singing out of him. Like when he's in the studio, when he's inside whatever a house or something doing the demo recordings, you hear better singing. So I don't know if that was just something to do with the acoustics that just made like his singing sound bad, which is possible. Like the way like concert halls, stadiums, the way those work, it can affect how a singer sounds, which is why a lot of current day people lip sync so that that effect is doesn't happen. Well, it's not the only reason they lip sync. The only reason they lip sync is because a lot of them just suck. Just saying. I mean, let's be real. Look at some of those current day singers' voices. Like, does anyone actually think a real human sounds like that? Like, it sounds way too electronic to be a human. And it's like, yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, so like if it was actually, if they were using recordings of Springsteen singing to and dubbed it over, why, you know, maybe that would have helped a lot of that. Like what, Bohemian Rhapsody did with regards to Freddie Mercury. So basically, they always dubbed Freddie Mercury singing over Rami Malek's voice when during the songs. Because let's be real, no one can replicate Freddie Mercury. And well, now with Elvis, I think Austin Butler did all the singing with that. And Austin Butler did do a good job singing in that. The movie itself has some issues with sidelining the actual music. Uh, I'm not gonna get into the issues with the Elvis movie, but as far as this movie, I liked it. Well, I'd like to see a little more of the music, yes, but it actually let this movie let the music be relevant, which is what a biopic about a singer or band is supposed to do. The music has to be prominent, and the music is very prominent. I mean, this covers like a very specific time in Springsteen's career, like where he went from being relatively niche to being a superstar. Basically, if you're gonna focus on one period of a singer's life, regards to Springsteen, this is a time where it does make sense. Now, the title "Deliver Me from Nowhere" comes from a name comes from like the it's based off a book called "Deliver Me from Nowhere" by Warren Zanes. That's where the title comes from, and then yeah, so and which is "Deliver Me from Nowhere." That book is about Bruce Springsteen, his development in Nebraska. And so yeah, I thought this was a good movie. I liked it. I would say it's like an 8 out of 10. So it's definitely not the best movie of the year, but I think it's pretty good. You know. So yeah, I recommend watching it. And that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching. And like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.